What's up, y'all? Snipes and Starflash, your unauthorized place for Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm. I'm your host, Jason, and before we take any steps further, we're going to have to get a whole different perspective on this thing, so bear with me for a minute. Oh yeah, see? That's better. What better place than down here to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp? Ant-Man and the Wasp being the sequel to not only Ant-Man, well, I guess the direct sequel to Ant-Man, but it is also a sequel to the 20 or so other MCU movies that make up the Marvel Studios Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we'll judge it mainly as a direct sequel to Ant-Man because that's the easy way to really judge these movies, is to hold them against their originals instead of holding them against all 20. So I'll judge this only towards Ant-Man, and I loved the first Ant-Man. The first Ant-Man pulled off something that I did not give them credit at first for being able to pull off. I thought there was no way in HE double hockey sticks that they were going to be able to pull off a funny movie, and I mean a legitimately funny movie, not like a couple quips here or there, but a funny movie where it's just, I'm going to laugh all the way through this thing and still keep it grounded in the MCU as we know it. They not only did that in the first movie, they did it and added so much heart, and I thought they did it so well that, to me, I don't know if it's one of my favorite movies in the MCU, like top 10 status, maybe even top 5. I don't know if it's there, but I can say this: I've watched Ant-Man more, probably, than I've watched any of the other Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. It's just the rewatchability, due to how enjoyably funny it is and how much heart it had, I've watched it over and over, and I find myself laughing through it every single time. That said, and the reason I bring that up is because all of that heart and all of that funny just rolls right into Ant-Man and the Wasp. And that's what I liked when I saw the preview to this. I saw the preview to this release, a day or two after Infinity War crushed our souls. So I walk out of Infinity War, and seeing that preview, the first thing I thought to myself was, yes, this is what I need, a happy, more down-to-earth vacation through hero times, so to speak, because Infinity War was a lot to bear. I mean, that felt like going through a lot. That hit my heart some. So seeing this light-hearted approach coming at us, it was a really good feel when I saw the previews. And then I saw more, and the previews were hit or miss for me. So I went into this a little trepidatious, and you know what? I can't think of much I didn't like about this movie at all. It was really, really good. Wasp steals it. Evangeline, well, she doesn't steal it because it's a comedy. We'll separate it. Evangeline Lilly's Wasp is the hero of this movie. Everything you're used to in Marvel proper and them being heroes, you get out of Evangeline Lilly's character. She's not only a hero, she is one of the most kick-ass heroes we've had in the Marvel Universe. I mean, she brings it. The action scenes that are put together for her in this movie, between the shrinking and the resizing and the shrinking of things and her fighting style and her wings, because, yeah, she's Wasp, she has wings, so why not? All of that combined leads to some of the most amazing action scenes I think I've ever seen in my life. I want to go back just so I can catch some of the things that I couldn't see, because everything's moving so fast. And that's what was so awesome about her action scenes. They're all put together. You don't miss anything. I know in Transformers, I always hated it because it looked like a blob of just mess when they really started fighting and transforming at the same time. You couldn't make out anything. The only reason you couldn't make it out is because there was just so much happening at once. I can't wait to go back to analyze these fight scenes even more, because they were amazingly choreographed. Everything in this movie was amazingly choreographed. The shrinking and growing was taken to a whole nother level this time, and done in just breakneck speeds with car chases and everything. That it was overwhelming to the senses. And on top of that, me and the whole audience were just cackling, laughing throughout this whole movie, because the funny just, they keep throwing jokes at you, and I mean, maybe 5 or 6 of them don't stick, but when you throw out 5,000, it doesn't matter if 5 or 6 of them don't stick, because you're still just rolling laughing through this whole thing. And that's where the rest of the cast besides Evangeline Lilly comes in, because you've got the snarkiness of Michael Douglas's Hank Pym, which is just, the grumpy old man snarkiness has been taken to a whole nother level from him, and he's great. You got Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, who is just, I mean, Paul Rudd is always Paul Rudd, but it's one of those characters that you don't care that he's always Paul Rudd, because you just love the guy for some reason. So Ant-Man is still that lovable oaf that you just love throughout this whole movie, no matter what, and he does so great as that. And him and Wasp are the perfect team. You could watch them team up, because she's so just on point, straight badass, and then he's just so bumbling, but it works for him because he's still got a sense of humility, perfectness damn near, that it just works. They work together so perfect throughout this movie that I can't wait to see their team build on more between them two. I could watch more Ant-Man and the Wasp movies after this, if we go further with that into the Marvel Universe, as we see after whatever Avengers 4 winds up bringing us. So, let's see. That takes them off. There's your heroes. So, now you've got your supporting characters, which Michael Peña's Luis is hands down, still to me, probably my favorite character in all of MCU proper. I could watch a movie just about Michael Peña's character explaining things as they happen. And he's amazing through this movie. And in fact, the Russian guy, who I thought he steps up in this movie a lot too. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. I don't even remember his name in the movie. But he was a somewhat funny character that got slept on in the last one, that gets some really, really, really funny moments in this one. And then T.I.'s great as this character that he's playing, because he doesn't have to be there and he doesn't have to deliver, but when he does, he's just great with it. It's like he's got this weird sense of humor that just him being him in the right situation winds up being funny because of his reactions to it. They add that guy from Fresh Off the Boat, the guy that plays the dad. I wish I could remember his name, because he plays a CIA agent, and the best thing about his character is watching him and Paul Rudd go back and forth with each other. It is hilarious. He's a little dumb for a CIA agent, but they don't go too far to where he's just completely stupid. He's just kind of off. He's that weird guy that happened to be a CIA agent, but he works. There's a gang type thing, like a mob type section. They worked really well. He was funny, even though you were supposed to be taking him seriously, and he was playing the role straight. I think that's what made it so funny, because you almost feel sorry for him, and he's the bad guy. And that segues directly into the villain of this movie, the main villain, Ghost. I'm not too familiar with Ghost. I just became familiar with Ghost in the comics maybe a year ago or so. The Ghost from the comics, which I don't even think that Ghost is a girl, but it's still the same phasing powers and stuff. She broke into Parker's lab and stole some stuff. So basically, that Ghost in the comics is more of a just espionage. I break into businesses and steal tech, and then I sell the tech on the black market type thing. If that's all there is to Wasp, because that's all I know, or not Wasp, I'm sorry, Ghost. If that's all there is to Ghost than what I know, then this Ghost is definitely different. Because this Ghost has more of a purpose to it. This is the first time we've got a villain like this, really, in the MCU. We've had villains that you can sympathize, well, not sympathize, we have villains you can understand and almost sympathize with. But this is the first one you actually have some sympathy for, because, I mean, down in its heart, I don't want to spoil anything, because there's a couple reveals involved, but down in its heart, this villain really has something that can relate with everyone, I guess. Everyone can relate with a sense of mortality. I think that's as big as a spoiler I'm going to give on the character. And that said, everyone can relate with this character because at her essence, she does bad things, but by no means is this person an evil person, like, say, Yellow Jacket from the first Ant-Man. He was just a really messed up guy. Like, he was ready to do whatever to not only make his dreams succeed, but make an army of things to sell to the highest bidder, good or bad. That's a bad guy. You're about to sit through one where this is not a bad guy. Like, this is a person who you really can empathize with in the long run. And I think that's what I really like about this character. And you notice it from the beginning. I like that. They build on it and they really enrich the character of Ghost as much as they can throughout this, while still keeping the on track with where you know they were going from the last one. Because the actual movie from the beginning to the end is them trying to get Mom out of the quantum realm. That's what this movie's about at its core. And then everything else just kind of happens around it. So there's not really a villain per se. There's just cog. It's like life. There's cogs in the way. There's not really a bad guy. It's all perspective, and it's all just cogs here and there trying to interfere with other ones while the actual machine's running, and the actual machine's trying to do its thing while cogs are coming in the way. That's a horrible explanation of cogs, because cogs actually make the machine work, so I'm using stray cogs that wouldn't exist. So, horrible analogy, but I think y'all all can understand where I'm going with it. And when they go into the quantum realm, the few times they go into the quantum realm, they went into it in the last one, but they didn't really go into it. This one, it goes into it. It still virtually looks the same. I mean, you get the same look of the quantum realm, right? But the person that did the, I guess, research into quantum mechanics and quantum physics, and I'm about to really nerd out on y'all for a minute, because I've always been a fan of Star Trek and stuff like this, and this movie at its core goes into some crazy scientific theories, because I mean, they explain quantum mechanics in this probably easier and better than anything I've ever seen explain quantum mechanics. It reminded me, like I was just parts of this movie. There's a movie called Down the Rabbit Hole, or What the Bleep Do We Know? It was something to that extent, and it went into quantum mechanics and tried to break it down into layman's terms, but never really did it quite like this. I mean, this did it subtly, and if you read in between the lines, you can really see what they were trying to say just by visually showing you the dynamics of quantum mechanics as it is, and how the mind and space and time and everything in the quantum realm is all intertwined. It's all one big ball of things when you're talking quantum mechanics, and this movie understood that perfectly. And I think that's one of the things I also really liked out of this movie, is it loved its science. And that's what Hank Pym, and that's what Ant-Man, and that's what all of that's really always been about, is the science and the applied science of quantum mechanics and quantum realities and things we just can't do. The unnatural being made natural through science. That's what it's really always been about, and that's actually what drew me to comic books as a child, was these amazing things that they depict that are actually based in actual scientific theory. And the quantum realm, the way it's displayed in this and explained in this, I can't wait to see them build more on it, which we know they're going to build more because of the mid-credit scene. The mid-credit scene is probably the best mid-credit scene they've ever done. I hate to say this, and this might spoil it for somebody, and I'm not giving any spoilers while I'm saying this, but I knew exactly going in what was going to happen in this mid-credit scene or end-credit scene. I knew the exact everything that was going to happen. Now, it caught a bunch of people off surprise, and I could tell that people weren't caught up with the MCU, so a lot of people got caught off guard. This movie, you do have to see a handful of movies. You have to be enriched in the MCU to really appreciate this movie in its fullness. I would not suggest a person that only saw Ant-Man and loved it to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp, because there are things in this movie that you will not understand. I promise that. But that said, best end credit scene ever. You will enjoy this. If you have any cognitive powers, you know what's going to happen. Like, if you have any reasoning skills of how stories go, and you've watched all 20 MCU fans or MCU movies, and you're a real fan, you know what's going to happen. You just might not know exactly how it's going to happen. I kind of pat myself on the back because I actually sat there and was like, wow, I literally said this a day ago to somebody. So, hands down, this movie was awesome. End credit scene was the best end credit scene ever. Go see this movie at the theater. I saw it at IMAX, and that was really fun because you see 25% more movie if you see it in IMAX, right? Or 15, I don't know what the real count is. That might have been exaggerated. It's 15 or 25% or something like that, right? But I wish I would have saw this in 3D. I can't reserve seats at my theater in 3D, so I didn't go see it in 3D. But everything about me wishes I would have saw this in 3D. I might go see this again in 3D or sacrifice my digital copy and buy an import 3D from Europe of this movie when it comes out, just so I can watch it in 3D. Because I already know from the last one that the Quantum Realm scenes in the last one were amazing in 3D. And I would have loved to see these in 3D because you get all kinds of other looks at stuff. There's a couple drops if you really listen towards the end of the movie where you can kind of figure out some of the thought process going into Avengers 4. And I know by Captain Marvel we'll have more of the process going into Avengers 4. So look for that. Like I said, I don't really have any down notes on this movie. It's not like this movie blew me away and was great, but it was a really good comedy. One of the very few sequels to a comedy that wound up being just as good as the original. And like I said, I'd suggest this to anyone who likes the MCU, anyone who likes Ant-Man. Go see this movie. Go see it in 3D, though. Do yourself that favor if you enjoy 3D, because I think it's going to add a whole other dimension to the film. And the shrinking and growing. That stuff's just, oh, it's so much fun. And I bet it looked really cool in 3D, because they also, it's not just them. It's the stuff they shrink and grow throughout as well. Anyway, great movie. I laughed. I had fun. Take your whole family. It's so much fun to laugh through this movie. The whole audience was cracking up through this whole movie. And look down in the description. This is more of my stuff. Look for the links. We've got links to the website. We've got links to Instagram where I put up all kinds of pictures of what we're doing and at least a daily picture, usually 98% of the time, of somewhere in Disney World. That place is beautiful, so try to capture as much of that beauty as I can. Not only that, I've got my Pinterest down there. That's an easy way to keep up with us with the Snipes and Snarfplat link besides Facebook. And then I also put the Twitter link down there. Don't have the biggest Twitter presence in the world, but hey, it's down there. I also put all my stuff on Twitter from the website so you can keep up with all the unauthorized thoughts I have on Disney, Marvel, Pixar, and Lucasfilm, and stuff that happens in the parks, stuff that happens in the movies, casting, trailers, whatever. It all goes on there. I write about how I feel about it. Keep up. There's another video coming real soon that's going to say we've got some big developments coming. I am finally to the place where I can announce this. So we got some big developments coming. Wait for that video. It should be popping up sometime next week. It definitely will pop up sometime next week. I just don't know if it will be early and later in the week because I have a whole lot on my plate to get ready for this announcement and everything it's going to take to make this announcement come true. But bear with us, y'all. I'm going to be off and on the website every now and then, but I will make sure if the heavens part for something amazing to happen in the world of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, I will make sure to put it on there, tell you what I think about it. If I think one way great about it or one way no about it. If I have no thoughts about it, I'll probably skip it. Show's on the way. That's what the thing's about for the next announcement. And I can't wait to see y'all soon. Excelsior!